Thank you. Mr. D'Angelo, I'm going to direct this question to you, and it asks, do our rates need to continue to be peanut butter spread? It's difficult to compete against contractors when our rates are almost, if not more, than theirs.
The idea of peanut butter spreading rates is one that we've heard quite a bit in the last couple of years. And there are mechanisms that we can take so that we don't have to spread rates, that we can be a little bit more specific as to where the rate goes. But there are sometimes when we incur a cost, it has to be paid back, so sometimes that cost is spread across the whole enterprise. I think it goes back to the 4 Ps again, right? So we're going to look at the things that produce the promise, and then we look at the process by which we do it. We all ought to be striving to find ways of helping us reduce the cost overall. If it's nothing else than just reducing the cost, that might mean that we could use the money that we have for an aircraft or a component, and we could buy more of them, or we could fix them faster. So we're trying to keep the rates standard. We're trying to keep them controlled, let's put it that way. And we're looking at all the ways that we would spread the rates so that it isn't peanut butter spread, but it's more directed. But at all steps, I would ask the workforce to constantly look at ways that we may work to reduce the overall cost of the way we do business. Because if we can do that, we bring more capability to the warfighter. So there are ways around the peanut butter spreading, sometimes not. We have to recover those costs. But I ask your help to help us reduce overall costs. Thanks.
Hey, Mr. D'Angelo, just to build on the way you described it, which is, I'm not going to even go there as far as the technical expertise. I'm so happy that we don't have to report quarterly earnings at the Air Force Sustainment Center. You know, if you work for an OEM or an industry partner out there, you wake up every day wondering, okay, what the next quarterly earnings report is going to look like. Nonetheless, there are business fundamentals that govern how we go about decisioning, prioritizing, and really deciding what our risk level is. And our mission here, even though it operates in many ways like you would see a standard business, particularly the financial fundamentals, we have to be ready for when the nation calls. And we have to be ready to surge, and we have to be ready to actually perform in areas where maybe the commercial sector wouldn't make a business bet on. You know, we have weapon systems where the mom and pops of the decades gone by have dried up. We are the only option. I think as we look at that, understanding that how we talk about rates and how we talk about being attractive and you know, the word competitive has often been used when we look at our rates in comparison to what industry does. Let's stay focused on our true purpose. You know, our North Star in the Air Force Sustainment Center is that we're a military organization, we're a warfighting organization, and we are the backstop for the nation when it comes to industrial-based support to our warfighters. That's a noble purpose. I don't see it going away. We can always drive ourselves to be more cost effective. And going back to the leadership model, common goals at the center, speed, quality, safety, and that next concentric circle. But that red part of that concentric circle is cost effectiveness. And to the extent that we use our mission culture, the art of the possible, and we go back to the leadership model and how we're executing our machines, how we're designing our machines, how we're actually identifying, resolving, elevating, exploiting constraints, how we elevate handguns. All those things, actually, if we're doing those things right, we aren't concerned about peanut butter spreading across organizations as far as race is concerned. Because if we are executing and if we are adopting the mission culture, the rest will take care of itself. Leave it to us to look at the financials and to do the number crunching. But I would really implore to our teammates all the way to the shop floor is to go back to our roots and go back to the mission culture that if adopted and imbued in the right way, there's no way that we're going to be left on the sidelines or have to worry about any threats to the workloads that we perform.
All right, thank you. So we're going to have our last question today, and I think this is a really timely topic, and it has to do with telework and return to work. And I'll start with you, Mr. D'Angelo, and then General Hawkins, Chief, if you'd like to jump in also. So it says, is there no U.S. Air Force AFMC mandate to return to work? Then what are the reasons for AFSC returning to the office?
There's a lot of reasons I would say that it makes sense to return to work, depending on how we return to work as well. The first thing would be that there may be culturalization issues that we need to work. If you're new to the organization, immediately being put into telework might be a way of maybe ostracizing you from the organization without even realizing it. So there's the opportunity to bring people together so that you can inculcate new people into your organization. That's going to require some of the leaders to come back. That's going to require some of the folks to come back and do that. And I think as an organization, as members of that organization, you would want to do that for the new people coming in. That you'd want to show them what you do in your organization. That will require some folks to come back. Other times, it's a matter of just having the opportunity to come together to do collaborative type of work, and that would also bring folks back. So there have been talk in some organizations of bringing individuals back on a more recurring basis, like weekly or bi-weekly, like that, because the leaders feel that that type of involvement of the team together actually helps produce at a higher rate than when they were separated. We realize that there's a lot of benefit to telework as well. If you're not doing these type of collaborative environments, but you need to study something, you need to put focus on it, perhaps the telework environment is the place to do that, because unless you have dogs like I do, you can focus on the issue at hand. But when it comes to collaboration, you have to have a location to do that. We're building collaborative environments in the office spaces that we have in AFSC headquarters, primarily to look at how that would work, but we offer that opportunity for any one of the organizations within AFSC to do these collaborative centers. I know that we'll talk a little bit about General Richardson's new guidance on teleworking, but I will tell you, without going too much into detail on that, that actually gives us the freedom that we need to make the right calls and how we should telework and the frequency by which we telework. And then the last thing I would say is that, yes, in some cases, telework has been an incentive in the past, and we've used it sort of as an incentive. We'll continue to look at that and the value of that as an incentive. Don't think we're going to take that away. We're going to look at each one of these issues and take it into consideration, because telework, like any one of the other types of capabilities that we have, flexible work schedules and all that, is a tool by which we should use, or a tool we should use to accomplish the mission that we have at hand. But if it goes back to P4, we have to produce the promise. And that's what's most important for us to do, because we have warfighters who are requiring us to give them the materials that are necessary to accomplish their mission. So there'll be some flexibility, but you will see some requirements to bring some folks back. And now I'll hand it over to you, Chief.
All right. Yeah, I think this question, there's areas where we can talk about big A airmen altogether.
Yep.
I think this is an area where we are just a little bit different, and that's probably going to become one of the questions as we work our way through this is, hey, we work in the same office, do a very similar job, but we're being treated just a little bit different. So let me attempt to describe that a little bit. And so there's a population I've been watching over the course of the last few years, and that's enlisted airmen, and that's new enlisted airmen that we brought on. And although the situation might be different, I think the effects of what has happened is very similar. And so those airmen that have come on in the last couple of years came into a shortened basic training. The training they got when they went to technical school was shortened, and in many cases missed an element to it. And then when they got to their first duty station, in some cases were sent to their dormitory and told, we don't need you yet because you can't produce, and we'll bring you in when we get to it. And I'm still watching as that population moves out, and some of them are getting to the senior airman ranks now. And so we don't necessarily know the long-term effects, but I can tell you what we probably missed. I know that wasn't how I was onboarded. And when I say onboarded, that's for civilians too. And so I'd say we got a population in our big A airman category that hasn't been onboarded and brought into the culture of what it means to be an airman and serve in the same way we did. And I think there's long-term effects to that. And one of the ways we can get after that is bringing folks back. It's going to look a little different, But that's the real reason behind it in my case as I see it, boss.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks. I want to start off by thanking everyone who did not have an opportunity to telework during the pandemic. I want to thank our shop floor mechanics across the center who still produced and made the mission happen against all odds. There's no reason to expect that we would have done this as well as we did during a global pandemic, still producing readiness for our warfighters. To our defenders at the gates, to our LRS airmen still delivering fuel to the flight line, to our civil engineers, getting choked up about it, sorry about that, to our civil engineers who still make sure our bases were running, to our airmen serving in our dining facilities. There were so many airmen that when we have a telework conversation, there's kind of a really, and we have to give a shout out to those folks that kept us going. I think when we talk about AFMC commanders, Vector, and this is a Vector commander's intent, and I've heard him speak about this. It's not about whether we were successful during the pandemic using telework. It is a question is how good do we need to be and how well do we need to perform to meet the intent of the national defense strategy, the national security strategy. And I think when you look at it that way, there is an opportunity to reach even our fullest potential by actually leveraging all of the capacity that comes with in-person contact. And I think that's becoming the North Star, is not just being satisfied with what we've done, but actually looking at what our future potential can be. I am an introvert, and I'm not sure if that comes across to anybody who has dealt with me personally. But if you let me get away with doing persistent telework, my natural intent would be I would stay at home and I would only come up on Teams when I needed to, and I would curl up in a ball and be totally comfortable in my special place. The fact that the Air Force challenges me to come to work every day and to learn and to work in team with the two individuals that I'm sitting in between, I'm a better airman. I think I'm a better leader. And I think I'm better for the organization because I benefit from in-person mentoring, in-person feedback, in-person critique, that there's no way I could receive that if I were at home just collaborating with Mr. D'Angelo and Chief Schultz via a virtual platform. Lastly, I'll say I think what the future looks like is an all of the above. It'll be an all of the above approach to leveraging the technologies that we've utilized during the pandemic, in addition to increasing the benefit that comes with teaming in person, innovating in person, and actually planning for the future with everyone in one space doing it together. So the future's bright, and we look forward to your feedback as to how we can leverage your talent to the fullest. But I think that General Richardson has it spot on. If we're going to get after defeating Chinese aggression, defeating Russian aggression, and anyone who is trying to disrupt our international system of rules, we need to be about being our best selves. And I think this new approach is going to get us there.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all for your insights today. We're going to end with some closing comments from each of you, and we'll start with Chief Schultz.
All right, I'll just close out my thoughts today. First with a thank you, and then just with a thought that's on my mind. And it's not just today, but it's every day I come into work, and that's the readiness of both our force and our fleet, right? And so I'll focus more on the force today. If you're anything like me, at the house I'm going through the transition of pumpkins to snowman this time of year, and what that does is it triggers me that hey, we are deep into the holiday season. And so when that comes to readiness of the force, I got a challenge for you is to, for a lot of us, that's a joyous time of year. But there's some folks out there that you work with or that are in wearing this uniform or deployed or civilians deployed that are serving away. And so there's challenges for many of us. And so what I'd ask from each of you is that you look to your right and your left, whether you're on the shop floor, or you're at the gate, or it's a member of yours you're thinking about that's currently serving away from their family and they're making a sacrifice, is that we do that check on airmen. And that's a readiness issue to me. That's about making sure that we're ready for the next fight. And it's really just about doing the right thing and looking out for each other. So I leave you with that. And again, thank you for all that you do today and throughout the year. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Chief. Always well said.
All right, thanks, Chief. Mr. D'Angelo.
Hey, I also want to thank you very much, and take care of each other, as the chief says, because that's extremely important. I'm going to leave you with something that one of my old bosses used to always say to me. He used to always say, hey, Denny, don't underestimate your impact to the mission by your proximity to the fight. And that's exactly what I want you to take away today. Your work is so critical to the success of our airmen and all of our employed or deployed people in DOD, that don't take that lightly. Everything you do every day is critical to the success of our nation, and we appreciate everything that you do. More so, we even appreciate everything your family does, because they share you with us so that we can actually make our mission happen. So thank you. I hope you have a wonderful season this year, a wonderful holiday season and all that, and take care of each other. Have a nice holiday, and we'll see you back in 2023.
Thank you, Mr. D'Angelo. General Hawkins.
I'm thankful to this team, Ms. Walden, Chief Schultz, Mr. D'Angelo, and I echo the Chief's comments. During this special season, lean on each other. If you ask someone how they're doing and you just get a, hey, I'm doing okay, ask them again during this time. And it's one reason why you couldn't pull me away from this uniform, and one day they're going to have to just pull the uniform off of me because I'm not leaving until I have to. And it's because of the people. The caliber of people that we get to work with, all of us, all 40,000+ of us, is just unparalleled. And I have had a chance to go on the outside a couple of times, and I can't find the consistency of just good people that I find here in the Air Force Sustainment Center and the Air Force writ large. So I'm very, very thankful for that. I want to thank all of those who support you being able to do what you do for the nation. And Mr. D'Angelo mentioned, whether it's families, spouses, loved ones, girlfriends, boyfriends, anyone who you hold dear, even your pets, with respect to sustaining warfighting readiness. And that's however you play a part in that, whether it's bombers and tankers here at Tinker, whether it's fighters and missiles at Hill, whether it's airlift systems and fighters at Robbins, whether it's supply chain, whether it's software, whatever it is, anything that you do to contribute to warfighting readiness. So this is righteous work, this is noble work, and this is work that's generational. That if you're like me and you have children, you know, I brag about what I do to my children because I'm so proud of it. If you have grandchildren, which I don't have, and my wife is really looking forward to that, I'm going to brag to them as to why this is the place to be, to deliver the prime of my professional life to. I want to thank you for that because I know it comes with some sacrifice. But I really want you to just embrace the fact that to the extent that we do this well and successfully, it has far-reaching impact within this nation, but around the world. We have a network of allies and partners and friends who depend on us to do this noble work. And as we head into the next calendar year, and as you spend some time relaxing and recharging over the holidays, reflect on that and reflect on just how good we need to be to continue this great run of freedom and liberty. That's the bedrock of our value system as Americans. So thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. Walden, for keeping us on track and keeping us corralled. So I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, all three of you. And thank you to our AFSC teammates for submitting your questions. And we'll see you again soon. Thank you.